Your playing is very sensitive, very deeply felt, very sincere, and I really, really like that. I'd like to help you add a dimension to it. You're particularly successful at the intimate, lower, more inward motions. And I want to see if I can help you make the palette a little bit more variety of it. Do you know anything about the origin of this piece? Do you know when it was written?
1902.
Nine what?
1902.
Something like that, the very, very beginning of the 20th century. Okay. I'll tell you just a little bit, just not too much. I won't talk too much. It's just, it was written the same year as Second Piano Concerto, arguably his most popular, famous piece. And it was not long after he had a really, really difficult time. He was determined to be a pianist and a composer, and he was not recognized. In fact, he got very bad reviews for his first symphony and for everything he was trying to write. And he had a nervous breakdown, a mental breakdown, actually, and he went into psychiatric care, to counseling and psychotherapy, and somehow or other, it really helped him. And after about a year or so of that kind of depth of despair, he came out with this great burst of warmth and depth and all that. And we're very, very lucky that this piece got written in that. And he wrote it for a very fine cellist named Anatol Brandukov, who was one of the great titans of Russian musical life at that period. He was the big name. More famous as a player than his contemporary Karl Davidoff, who was more famous as a composer and as a teacher. And Brandukov was really in this old style of very great, generous, and fit very, very well to Rachmaninoff's character. By the way, I heard many years later that Nathan Milstein, great violinist and great friend of my teacher, Piatigorsky, that they were visiting together with him, and Milstein said, "Why don't you write a violin sonata?" And Piatigorsky was telling me the story with a big smile, and he says that Rachmaninoff answered, "Why should I write a violin sonata when I have the cello?" So it was the moment when we got our great, great triumph. Okay, so the other thing I want to, just by way of saying it, and maybe it answers a lot of questions for you, and it's again a story from my teacher, who was a great source of interest and fun and wisdom for me, is that there was a very famous English dancer, the most famous ballerina of her day, of her time. Her name was Margot Fonteyn. And she actually became Dame Margot Fonteyn. She was recognized by the Queen, and or maybe even had been the Queen's father, the King George VI. And it seems that Piatigorsky was in London, and they met at a party somewhere, and Piatigorsky was very, very famous, and she was very, very famous, and it was one of those nice chats at a party, and she said, "You know, I'm dancing tomorrow night at the ballet. Why don't you come?" And he said, "Oh, I would love to. I've never seen you dance, and I would love to see you." And she said, "Well, I'll leave tickets for you." Fine. So he came, and he said, I don't know whether it was something like Swan Lake or Giselle or one of the great, great ballets. And he said he sat in the audience in the seat that had been left for him, and he was just absolutely captivated with her dancing. He said, and she was so gorgeous to look at. It was just so heavenly. It was like an angel. I mean, it was just incredibly, ravishingly beautiful. And he went back after the performance to thank her, and he came into the dressing room, and there she was, same woman. But she looked really like a prostitute. I mean, she just had incredible amounts of over makeup and huge amounts of lips and mascara everywhere and all of that, which is not how she looked from the stage. And his point, because it was a teaching point that he was telling us, is that sometimes in order for what you're doing to get out there, you have to enlarge it to the point where almost, if you think about what I'm doing, it sounds gross. So that, coupled with the fact that this essentially finally is in G major, you know, it's after the piece, after having all of the G minor stuff, and this is not, you know, not completely without its sad moments or tender moments or nostalgic moments. When you come in with this great heroic ya-ta-ta, dam-pam-pa, don't come in, come in like it's, well, maybe, finally spring has arrived. Your best friend, your girlfriend, whoever, your girlfriend, boyfriend, it doesn't matter. You're out and you're taking a walk with locked arms and you're strolling down by the river, and it's great to be alive. Now begin it that way, both of you, and play it really just, I want the whole world to know how happy I am. Can you try it? Suggestion for you, whatever figuring on the page is, ignore it. Start play. This is not for this point, this is not heroic enough. Start on the A string. Just right on where you come in, okay? That's already right. Now when you come after all of these triplets to 4/8 notes, they should be so puffed up, so full. Ya ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da da ya da 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 da. Just take as much time as you want on them. Just broad and just love the whole world, you know, and they'll love you back, okay? Right on it again. Is there a decrescendo there?
Yes.
Let's see.
Yes.
Where is it? On the last note? And you did it on the second beat already. Ta-da-da-ya. Save it for that. Do the 2 bars before our tempo. Even though that, look, you're already making it on the C sharp. Ya-da-da. When it says diminuendo, this is a funny way of saying it, but it helps, I think. Diminuendo means loud. Crescendo means soft. If you're going to get soft, you have to be loud first. You know? You need money in your pocket before you can spend it. You know? Okay. Play one. I'm saying the wrong note. Wait until you get, I'm sorry, I just said the wrong notes, but okay. Try once more. Okay, fine. We're on the right track. It's gotten very much better. But in order Another thing that is very characteristic of Russian music, and it's very much in the character of the culture. It's very much like no, maybe not. I'm going to go for something, and then you pull back a little bit. There's something like that. So. To reach more in those chords, da da da, and then go da 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 da, more contrast. So let's do it after the next up tempo, right there where you were. Okay. So I'd like it even if you would be. I have to tell you a story. I think people know I like to tell stories. This happened to me a long time ago. I mean, really long time ago, 1953. I was 14 years old, and I was a student for the first time away from home at the Music Academy of the West in Santa Barbara. It was for the first time studying with a man I studied with very happily for a number of years, Gabo Raito. And I had a scholarship to be there, and the job for the scholarship was, I mean, the nice thing about it was that I and two other fellows my age were in the same situation. We were given rooms in the servants' quarters of this magnificent mansion up in the hills of Montecito, which had been rented for the summer as a place for faculty who were teaching in the Music Academy who wanted to live in that fashion rather than to have their own house, where they were living. And in a very American way, our job as young fellows we were allowed to sit and eat dinner with these people, the faculty. It was a very egalitarian kind of thing, except that when it was time for dessert, we cleared the dishes and we brought them their dessert and we brought them their coffee or tea. Okay, and there was one member of the faculty, a bassoon faculty named Simon Kovar. He had been a member of the New York Philharmonic for 35 years, and he was retired now, and he was there with his wife, and he was a really nice man. And I was on duty that night with him. I brought him his, and I said, well, Mr. Kovar, what would you like? Oh, he said he wanted a cup of tea. So I brought him his dessert, and then I went and I brought him a cup of tea, and I was very afraid of spilling it, you know. So the cup was that high, and I had filled it up only about like that, and I brought it and set it down in front of him. And in front of everybody, you know, he says, how can you give me a cup of tea with such small amount? It doesn't come from your heart. It's not sincere. You know, go back, fill it up. So this was kind of a thing. So when you come to those triplets, can you fill them up a little bit? Ya-da-da-da, instead of ya-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da, ya-da-da, ya-da-da-da, ya, just like ya-da-da-da. Make the rhythm over generous. You know, you don't lose by that. It always comes back to you, okay? From a tempo. Mostly right, and you're not playing, but you're playing. Why don't you do this? Don't stress the note you arrive. It's the entrance note, right on that bar. This is mezzo forte, you know, this is a mistake.
Okay.
Oh, it says there, double forte. And in the piano part, it says mezzo forte, right? It's mezzo forte. Okay, so I don't need all of this. This was all really lovely and tender. So now I'd like to go to let's go to tempo primo way over there where the development is. Is it C sharp? That's F natural, yeah. You know where that is? Okay, right on the tempo primo. Just go ahead and play your part. I know it looks like, I'm sure it's an E flat. You think it's an E natural, Paul?
No, I think E flat.
E flat, but you play it. It's an E flat, okay? So right on the pickup of that, play an E flat. Thanks to the piano, you become a hero. No, okay. She does all the heavy lifting. Okay. So now let's go on to the deepest part of the development, meno mosso, where you know where that is. Okay. So can you do from right on meno mosso the bar before he comes in? Okay. Dame Margot Fontaine, not. Give it a little bit of mascara, you know, okay? Once more. Okay, it's not, it's. And I think hold it a little too long. Nobody's going to punish you. Okay, once more. Okay, now this is important. You don't see it. You don't see these lines written in a lot of places in this movement, but in other movements it's a lot. And I know from pianists that when he writes lines, it's very consistent. It means tenuto. It means hold the note almost too long. So when you have try alone once, just that. Hold it much longer for now. You can always do less. And I bet you that would, just the way you did it now, would fit with the piano. Because now I can see your features. You know, the thing about that story is, from the audience without all of that heavy makeup, you couldn't see her lips, you couldn't see her eyes. It needed definition. So can you do where you just started before? Meno mosso, that's the... from, which was terrific this time, right on that where you come in. Hold the C longer. Well, if you do the C really right, the others can be less and less. You're outlining it so we know what we're listening for. The audience needs help. You know, they don't, if they never heard the piece before, they need to be shown, to demonstrated with what it is they should feel. Try one more time. Beautiful. Same thing. How would you do? Go on. I really love the way you're doing this, and don't change it a bit for my taste, because what happens at this point is it really is as if time has stopped. So instead of ya, ba, ba, do, like you're absolutely asleep or you can't really, and then gradually and rather violently you wake up. Okay, right on the listesso tempo, the upbeat. That's the whole idea. Now let's go to near meno mosso, near the end, the last of the reverie kind of place. It says pianissimo dolce. I'm going to suggest to you that you have a long way to go down, and without doing any injustice to what he writes, come in at sort of almost mezzo forte. You don't play. And look at it now, every place that there's a line, hold the note until you're done with it. Don't worry about her. I promise you, she will be with you. You're going to really have fun. You're going to enjoy this, okay? Just a bar before. Come in later. more dynamic range. If it's in soft, then but not a. Don't let the bottom fall out of it. And come in later, after she plays the downbeat, okay? Keep your sound. Keep it. Kind of sound, not because like there's sand in your bow. Just come to the last, how many bars? 4 bars. 5 bars, F sharp on the bottom, okay? Grain now, dirt. Not too loud. Don't give a signal, just play when you're ready. See, because you did give a signal, but before when you went something like that, everybody knew about it. Yeah, she knows where you are. Okay, so do for the grainy bar. Where you have the half notes. This is typical Russian kind of stuff. So start on the vivace again. Is there a line on that note? Yes. Okay. Remember. Okay. Puts his name at the end of all of these pieces. Rachmaninoff. Yararara. Rachmaninoff. There's a lot of pieces he does. Yararara. Thank you both. Thank you. And thanks to everybody who's listening and participating and playing. It was a great pleasure to be here. I think we have to do this every year.